Episode 36, The Biggest Donation. While Andrea Walters was full of suspicion about Lelaine, Lelaine introduced her to Jeff.
Hello, I'm Lelaine's friend, Jeff.
He politely greeted Andrea.
Hello, Lelaine and I are from the same town.
Andrea said she didn't like talking to this guy, but she still didn't know his background. If Jeff was a rich man, wouldn't she regret ignoring him?
Jeff, what does your family do?
Andrea asked with a smile. She wanted to get to the bottom of his situation as quickly as possible. Just when Jeff was wondering how to reply, an arrogant voice sounded.
Andrea, you don't need to talk to him. It'll only waste your time,
said a domineering man with a golden chain around his neck. He walked up to Andrea and hugged her waist before patting her on the butt. Jeff's eyes narrowed when he saw the man. The person who had walked up to Andrea was none other than their hedonistic classmate, Steve Phillips. The last time they had been in contact had been in Minnie Jones's live stream room.
Darling, what took you so long? I've been waiting for you,
Andrea said flirtatiously before looking at Jeff.
Darling, do you know this student?
Of course I know him. He's the one I've always told you about. The poorest person in our class who's famous in the entire department,
Steve exclaimed.
When he's not studying, he spends the rest of his time either working in the cafeteria or the convenience store. As long as you give him money, he'll keep working, no matter how dirty or smelly he is.
Andrea couldn't hold back her laughter anymore. She held her stomach and pointed at Jeff.
Don't say it. Look at his clothes. They say he was a beggar on the street. I don't doubt that at all.
Andrea, you're right. I heard this guy recently begged for money at the city. A university student who can swallow his pride and ask others for money has no dignity.
Steve agreed.
But today he bought a set of clothes for Lelaine at the fashion beauty boutique. Darling, when the time comes, take me there to buy some as well,
Andrea said sweetly.
How could a poor loser like him, who only knows how to work and study, afford to buy clothes at that boutique?
Steve didn't leave it at all, but after seeing that Lelaine's hand was indeed holding onto in the fashion beauty boutique bag, he said,
This guy doesn't have money at all. If he has enough money to buy clothes at that boutique, then there's only one possibility: he has the wrong kind of money. It has to be stolen. Oh, right. Or it might have been him begging in the city for it. Jeff. Oh, Jeff, you're a fool, aren't you? You can hardly afford to buy food for yourself, and even so, you still try to pick up girls,
Steve said as he smiled sinisterly.
So that's how it is.
Andrea realized that her mood had become very cheerful.
Lelaine, did you hear what my boyfriend said? He stole all the money he used to buy her clothes. It's not his own money at all. Do you dare accept this kind of man? Perhaps one day when he gets tired of playing with you, he'll sell you out,
Andrea said viciously. Although she and Lelaine had gone to the same high school, the two of them only got to know each other later. If it weren't for the fact that they were from the same town, Andrea wouldn't even bother to look at Lelaine. Andrea was usually the one who was the center of attention, but that day, Lelaine was wearing a dress that was even more impressive than hers. This threw her off, and now that she found the chance, she felt that she must properly ridicule her.
Lelaine, I know that your family's situation is bad, and I can understand the urgency in your heart if you want to pull your family out of poverty, but this is ridiculous,
she exclaimed. Andrea continued to say to her,
It's hard for a poor person to work hard and study hard. He always wants to gain wealth by being close to the money. How can this be a good thing?
Andrea leaned towards Lelaine and advised,
If you don't have money, don't get used to wearing the fashion beauty boutique clothes. Just wear the clothes you can afford. That's what suits you. Why are you so conceited? The better your clothes, the more it shows how cheap you are.
Lelaine had heard even more malicious words in the past few years. If she were alone, she would have completely endured it. But since Andrea scolded Jeff, Lelaine could not accept this. Lelaine's face turned red from anger. Normally, she wouldn't scold people, but now she was facing the sharp tongues, Andrea. Even if she wanted to retort, she couldn't make a scene, and even if she could say something, she didn't know how to respond. Jeff, who was sitting to the side, couldn't stand it anymore. He was about to teach Andrea and Steve a lesson when loud music came from the stage. As the lights in the restaurant's main hall came on, the host, who was dressed in formal attire, walked onto the stage and began his opening speech.
Guests, good afternoon, and thank you for coming today. We all know why we're here. It's to celebrate the successful conclusion of our school's donation campaign for the poor mountain village. Of course, we will also pay tribute to the donors today to praise their good deeds.
So, this is to recognize the donors.
Jeff thought to himself. He had casually donated $130,000. That amount of money was nothing to him. After listening to 4 or 5 speeches, it was time for the main event.
Next up, we will reward the donors. Let me first report on the status of this donation to everyone. A total of over $300,000 was donated. We have 90 people who donated over $100 and 38 people donated over $500. 12 people donated over $1,000. And 5 people donated over $5,000.
The host exclaimed. After hearing the host's report, the audience applauded and cheered.
Some people donated more than $5,000. Our school is awesome,
said one person.
I only donated $5 compared to these rich kids. I'm too far behind,
said another.
Me too. I had to add up my living expenses before I managed to take out $10. These people are rich, so $5,000 is nothing to them. That's so infuriating,
said yet another.
Everyone, please calm down. I haven't finished announcing this,
said the host.
Other than the aforementioned, there is another person who has contributed over $100,000.
After the host finished speaking, the entire audience was in an uproar. To them, $20,000 was a huge sum of money, but someone had donated much more than that.
Was it a student?
Everyone was enthusiastically discussing this person who had donated such a huge amount. They were certain that it must have been a millionaire, and they all wanted to get a good look at him.
Darling, how much do you donate?
Andrea asked Steve sweetly.
Not much, just $350.
Steve said casually. He hadn't wanted to donate. With that amount of money, he could have taken a girl out on the town. It was only because he had committed a crime in the city and had used the money to protect his life that he had been forced to work or do good deeds. So he had reluctantly donated $350.
$350 is not a small amount. You already rank among the top 100 donors,
Andrea said, and then turned to Lelaine and asked her intentionally.
Lelaine, how much money did you donate? Your family has no money, but I want to see how kind you are.
I donated $5.
Lelaine said with embarrassment.
What? Did I hear you right? You just donated $5. You are something. I remember you telling me that after graduating from university, you're going to be a teacher in a poor area. I think you're lying. Otherwise, why would you be willing to donate $5 at this time? This is too hypocritical.
Andrea mocked her. Lelaine felt wronged. She didn't have any spare money, so the $5 that she had donated meant that she had gone without dinner that night.
Lelaine donated so little, but I think he must have donated it for her,
Andrea said to Steve with an evil smile.
Tim. Andrea, don't joke with us on purpose, okay? He's the biggest loser in our class and lives off a part-time job. Do you think he can afford to donate anything?
Steve said and laughed. Andrea licked her lips, looked at Steve and said,
Do you think I believe Jeff donated? I was deliberately mocking him. You're not going to confess that you didn't donate money?
Andrea raised her eyebrows and slyly asked Jeff.
I did.
Jeff shrugged and said lightly.
Oh, how much did you donate?
She asked. Jeff's donation would be well beyond Andrea's expectations if Jeff said how much. Andrea wouldn't mock him in Lelaine because she wouldn't believe it.
Not much.
Jeff wanted to say that he had donated $130,000 to shut Andrea and Steve up, but it would lead to a lot of trouble if this was leaked. He decided not to say it.
It not much. I got it. Jeff, you must be the same as this girl donating $5. No, you poor guy. You didn't even donate $5. You just donated $1. How shameless.
Andrea said. Steve laughed out loud.
You say I'm shameless?
Jeff couldn't hold back anymore as he listened to their high and mighty laughter, but he still managed to smile on his face.
What did you say? You want to die?
Steve said angrily.
I remember the last time I watched the live stream. There was a person called Ghost Rider who boasted about giving 5 money guns. But then esteemed admirer outdid him and banned from the chat.
Jeff chuckled.
Jeff, you ass.
Steve clenched his fists in anger, but he didn't dare to hit him. Usually asked for help in fights. In this moment he could only look at Jeff in anger.
A moment of silence, please. Now we will invite all the students that have contributed over $100 to come up, give a speech, and have their photo taken.
The host on stage said loudly. Steve cooled down a little. He was going to have his picture taken on stage while Jeff remained seated. Wasn't this proof that he was ahead, above Jeff?
No matter what a smooth talker you are, Jeff. You're just a poor penniless loser. You are way below me.
As he thought of this, the corners of Steve's mouth curled up into a smile.